Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. She was at the sink with her travel mug, eyes on her phone, when I said it. Let's do dinner tonight. Just the two of us. There's that little place on Maple. No, she snapped the lid shut. I'm busy. Busy with what? Important stuff. She didn't look up. Don't wait up. That was the tone. Not tired, not stressed, final. Like I was a wrong number. I stood there with my tie half knotted, smelling burnt toast, and thought, that's new. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have skipped the toast and taken a picture of the moment. It was the first brick out of the wall. I finished the knot, set the toast on a plate for show, and left for the office with a dull certainty. Something had shifted, and I wasn't going to pretend I didn't see it. I hit the parking lot early and sat in the truck, watching the school buses line up on Oak. My phone had one unread text from her. It was a grocery list. Nothing else. At my desk, my project manager, Luis, asked if I'd join the client check-in at 4. I said yes and buried myself in spreadsheets until the day ran through me. At 6, I drove home with a stake in mind and a plan to make it pleasant. The house looked staged, like a realtor might walk in with a couple on a tour. Her shoes were by the door, 3 pairs like soldiers. The TV hummed in an empty living room. She was in the bedroom mirror, touching up lipstick. You look nice, I told her. We can still catch a table if we leave now. I said I'm busy, she replied, checking her phone again. Girls' night. Short notice. Not your problem. I pulled my wallet, then put it back, then pulled it again. Okay, have fun. I'll do my own thing. She rolled her eyes. You always do. I let that one land where it wanted. In the kitchen, I opened the fridge and stared at the container of chicken I'd marinated that morning. It sat like a joke. I slid it to the back, grabbed eggs instead, and made an omelet for one. When she came through for her keys, I didn't ask where. I didn't ask when. I flipped the omelet and spoke without looking at her. New plan, Jill. I'm done chasing. Our calendars are separate. If you want to spend time, put it on there like you do for everything else. That's ridiculous. Probably. I slid the omelet onto a plate. But so is talking to a closed door. I'll be at the gym at 7. Saturday, I'm taking the kayak out. Sunday, I'm at Dan's garage to tune the carb. Put your stuff on the calendar if it matters. You're being dramatic. No, I said, and took a bite. I'm being scheduled. She stood, waiting for me to soften. I didn't. She took her purse and left. I ate. I washed the pan. I set a reminder on my phone. Stop volunteering for cold shoulders. The next week, I stuck to my schedule. I stopped asking what she wanted for dinner. I stopped filling her gas tank since I was in the area. I stopped guessing her mood. When she spent evenings at the studio, I went to the gym, then grabbed a burger on the way home and ate it on the back steps with the dog from next door eyeing me like a saint. Wednesday night, I found her in the living room with her laptop open and her feet under a blanket. The show on TV played to itself. I sat on the opposite end of the couch. Friday, I said, I'm grilling for myself and Luis. He's bringing his kid. If you're here, you're welcome to a plate. She lowered the laptop screen a fraction. I already have plans. Good. I clicked the remote to mute the show. Also, from this point on, I'm splitting our household budget. I'll cover the mortgage and utilities. You cover your personal stuff. If you need something else, text me. You're changing the rules now? I'm putting them in writing. You're punishing me. I set the remote on the table. No, I'm refusing to be a backup plan. There's a difference. Her mouth tightened. She lifted the blanket like a curtain and disappeared behind her laptop again. I went out to the garage and sat on the tool chest. The concrete felt more honest than the couch. When I came in later, the laptop was closed. Her phone, though, lay on the arm of the chair, face down. It buzzed, and she tapped it without looking. Buzz. Tap. The rhythm of it made sense in my gut before my head. I didn't say a word. She glanced toward the hall like she might see if I'd followed, then caught herself and stayed still. I opened the calendar on my phone and put in a block for Saturday, all day, out of town. I ended the night with my own show, a video on outboard engines, subtitles on, volume off. She went to bed without a good night, and I didn't walk down the hall to offer one. The following Tuesday, the client call ran short. I took the long way home. Half a mile out, I realized I'd left my office keycard in my pocket, not my desk, and laughed at myself for being a creature of habit. I turned onto our street and saw her car in the drive. That was unusual at that hour. I parked behind it instead of in the garage because I didn't intend to stay. Inside, the house was quiet except for her voice from the kitchen. It had that edge women get when they think the walls are safe. No, he has no idea, she was saying. A pause. Yes, all of it. Why would I do it halfway? I stepped into the hall and stopped. Her laptop camera faced the backsplash. Speakerphone. A chorus of chiming agreement. He's too proud to look, Jill went on. If I ask, he'll resist on principle. That's fine. I have people. It's just paperwork. He'll sign if I make it feel like his idea. I pulled my phone and started recording. Not anger. Documentation. I leaned against the doorframe and tilted the screen to catch the phone on the counter, the open notebook beside it. He thinks I'm stressed, she said, chuckling. Let him think that. The timeline is clean. I want the house. The savings. The car is in his name, but that's a formality. It's all negotiable when one person isn't ready. Another voice laughed. Make him ready then. Oh, I will, Jill said. He's predictable. Give him silence, and he fills it with effort. Give him approval, and he gives up ground. Couple of weeks, and it's done. The red timer on my camera app blinked steady. I didn't cough. I didn't move. I let her words stack like bricks. When she hung up, she turned and saw me. The blood left her face, came back, then settled. How long have you been standing there? Long enough. I slipped the phone in my pocket. Were you? I came home for a document, I said, and kept my voice level. You're home early. I work from here. Good. I nodded. I'll grab what I need. As I passed her, she reached like she might touch my sleeve, then dropped her hand. We should talk. We will, I told her. I'm tied up this week. I walked to the office, took a random folder from the cabinet, and left through the garage. I didn't slam the door. I didn't peel out. I drove to Dan's workplace off the frontage road and parked behind the building. He came out wiping his hands on a rag. You look like a man who found a snake under his porch, he said. Close, I said. I found a plan. He waited. I'm going to be methodical, I told him. No fireworks. I'll set the table, then I'll eat. Dan nodded once. What do you need? Nothing yet. Just a witness that I'm in my right mind. Always debatable, he deadpanned. Fair. I grinned. Then I opened my banking app and moved every dollar I didn't have to leave exposed into a locked account with my name only. I printed statements from the office, changed passwords, and closed the laptop. Driving home, I thought about the rules. She'd said I was predictable. Maybe. Here's a new pattern. I stopped giving her a chance to stall me with later. At dinner, she tried a different voice. I was short this morning, she said, setting a plate down. Work's been heavy. I cut into the chicken and nodded. It happens. I don't want us to drift. We don't drift, I answered. We make choices. She studied me. Are you angry? No. You sound decided. She folded her napkin in half and in half again. I don't want to fight. Neither do I. Then what do you want? For now. I took a bite and let the silence do its own work. A quiet evening. My show. My chair. She tried to smile. I can make popcorn. Don't. I wiped my mouth, carried my plate to the sink, and rinsed it. I'm good. That was the first soft landing she offered after a wall. It looked like care. It felt like strategy. I didn't insult either of us by pretending it was more. The week that followed was calm on the surface. Jill left earlier, came home later, answered questions I didn't ask with too much detail. I started each day at the gym, showered there, and hit the office an hour before anyone. I met with a document service and set things in motion, not breathless, not vindictive, just precise. At work, Luis noted I was focused as a hammer. He wasn't wrong. On Saturday, I went to Dan's garage as planned. He'd invited two neighbors I barely knew, one a school counselor named Amber and the other a quiet guy with a landscaping truck. We had coffee and stood around the open hood like it was a fire pit. Amber watched me torque a bolt. You okay? She asked. Not nosy, observant. I'm rebalancing, I said. Good word, Dan put in. It's what you do when something's wobbling but not broken yet. Yet, I echoed and slid the wrench back into the tray. The day stayed simple. I liked the sound of that wrench in the tray more than I liked the sound of my own living room. Sunday evening, I got a text from Jill. Family dinner at my sister's Tuesday. Please come. My sister-in-law, Meredith, had a voice that could saw through sheet metal when she wanted to. I wasn't eager to present myself there as a man with a question mark on his forehead, but it was please, and I wanted to read. I replied, I'll be there. 7. Tuesday, I arrived 5 minutes late on purpose and brought a pie I didn't thump on the table like a gift from the heart. Meredith opened the door with a neutral face. Jill hovered behind her, overly bright. You made it, Jill said. I said I would. At the table, Meredith asked about work. I answered. Their mother asked about our garden. Jill said she didn't know because she'd been so tied up lately, and that landed like a pebble in a glass. I let it sit. Halfway through, Jill squeezed my knee under the table. We should get away, she murmured. You and me. A cabin maybe. That could be nice. I replied, not pushing, not agreeing. Meredith watched the exchange like a referee who'd seen the trick before. When we stood to clear plates, she pulled me aside near the fridge. You too good? She asked under her breath. We're civil. Civil isn't love. Sometimes it's step one, I said. Meredith studied my face. Just don't be the last to know if something's already decided. I'm not. Back in the living room, Jill draped an arm through mine for show. We're fine, she told Meredith, laughter in it. He's just intense lately. I'm detailed lately, I corrected. Same thing, Jill joked. It's not, I replied, and the room heard the difference. Jill squeezed my arm too hard, then let go. On the drive home, she tried again. I meant it about the cabin. Let's go next month. My calendar's full next month. So move things. No. She blinked. It's me. It was you and I asked last week and the week before, I said. I don't rearrange for people who won't move a cup on the counter for me. That's petty. It's policy. I watch the road. If you want time with me, pick a date, and I'll see if it fits. I'm not throwing darts. She turned her face to the window like the scenery was interesting. We rode home with the radio low and the engine loud in the quiet. That week I signed what needed signing. A clerk stamped it, slid it back, and said I'd be notified when the packet was ready. I thanked her and put the envelope in my glove box. It was a strange feeling, light and heavy at once. But it was mine. The decision had a backstop. At work Thursday, Amber stopped by my cubicle with coffee. You look like a man carrying something you've already put down, she observed. Accurate. Good, she said. Most people drag it until it tears. Not my plan. I wrapped a hand around the cup. Thanks for the coffee. Don't make it weird, she grinned. It was free downstairs. Then cheers to free, I said. I meant it. Free was a good word that week. Friday night, Jill came in with flowers. I was at the table reviewing bills. For you, she said, setting them down. I was rough on you. I'm trying. Thanks, I said. They're nice. I also reserved a table for us tomorrow. 7. That place you liked. I'm kayaking tomorrow, I reminded her. I blocked it a while ago. She swallowed. Can't you move it just this once? No, but I'll be home late afternoon. If you want to swing by a diner at 5, text me. That's not romantic. It's available. She stood for a beat like she might argue, then softened. Fine, she said, like she was doing me a favor. Diner at 5. Saturday, I went out early and stayed on the water until the sun lost its edge. I cleared my head in the honest way, through motion. I texted Jill at 4:30, leaving the lake. Diner in 30. She replied an hour later. Rain check. Meredith needs me. I ate a sandwich in the truck and didn't send a question mark. At home, Jill was stretched on the couch watching a show. She didn't look surprised I walked in alone. You could have called, she said. You could have shown up, I replied. She turned up the volume a notch, which was an argument in a different language. I went to the garage and oiled the fishing reel. It purred under my hand. Sunday, I mowed the lawn. Monday, I worked. Tuesday, I got the notification the packet was ready. I read it at my desk, a clean, tidy stack of paper that made clear lines where fog had been. I put the packet in my briefcase and felt my face lift on its own. Not a smirk. Not glee. Relief with a backbone. That afternoon, Jill texted. Don't forget my birthday tonight. People at 7. I'll be there, I wrote back. I was oddly excited about a party I didn't plan. It felt like being a guest in my own transition. By 6, neighbors were drifting in with dishes and a plastic cooler. The house smelled like baked pasta and perfume. I shook hands, hugged who wanted to hug, and set a tray of wings on the table. Meredith took my measure in one look. You look like a man who slept, she said. I did. Good. Jill floated from group to group with a drink in hand, all smiles. The version of her I used to like at gatherings. Bright, quick, polished. When she hit me near the kitchen, she poked my chest. "Someone's cheerful," she announced to the room, loud enough to ensure no one missed the cue. "Mark, what's gotten into you? Win the lottery? Finally figured out how to fold a towel." A cousin laughed too hard. Meredith didn't. Jill waited, head tilted, daring me to make it soft for her. I didn't. I let the room have me plain. "Oh, I'm glad you asked," I said, matching her volume. "And I'm glad you asked so loudly." I smiled like the world didn't hurt. "I'm happy because pretty soon I'll be single again." The room made a sound like a brake squealing. Fork stopped. A neighbor's kid whispered, "What?" Jill blinked, the way people blink when a flash goes off in a dark room. "Cute," she tried, playing it off. "He's so funny when he thinks he's edgy." "No," I said, still smiling. "I'm literal tonight." "Okay, enough," she snapped. "You're making it weird." "I thought you liked loud," I replied. "While we're on volume, let me share a clip." I pulled my phone, tapped the screen, and mirrored to the TV. Jill's face shifted a half step too slow to matter. The video filled the screen, our kitchen, her voice, the phone on the counter, the neat notebook. The audio rang clear in the quiet. "No, he has no idea. All of it. It's just paperwork. He'll sign if I make it feel like his idea." In the pause that followed, glass clinked against a plate. Somebody said, "Oh." Meredith closed her eyes once and opened them, calm as a judge without a bench. The sound of a plan unraveling is silence from people who thought they knew you. Jill was first to move. "That's edited." "It's not." "You're twisting your words." I tilted my head. "I left them alone." "You can't." "I already did." She scanned the faces, including the ones that would gossip tomorrow, then grabbed for moral high ground like a handrail. "He's obsessed," she told them. I was venting. People vent. "Sure," I said. "Venting's usually cheaper than packing, but here we are." A neighbor broke the quiet, voice sharp. "Jill, that's cold. Stay out of this," she snapped. "Hard to," Meredith said, voice low. "It's my sister's house for now, and my brother-in-law's name on the deed." Jill turned on me. "So what? Is this your big scene?" "No scene," I told her. "Just clarity. I filed. The packet's ready. You won't be getting what you rehearsed for in that call. Not the house. Not the savings. Not the car. Not after that." She laughed, a thin sound. "You think you can decide that?" "I did decide it," I said. "And the people who help with paperwork agreed with me." She flared. "This is slander. It's a recording in my kitchen." "You set me up." "You performed," I answered. "I wrote it down." She threw her hand toward the door. "Get out." I shook my head, almost pitying the script. "No. This is your party. You can leave. When the guests have gone, you can also clean up. Then you can pack your things. By tomorrow evening, you should be somewhere else. The spare key stops working at midnight." "Who do you think you are, talking to me like that?" "The owner of the house," I said. "The man you remarried to a plan. The man who's done playing along. You can't just kick me out." "I'm not dragging you," I replied. "I'm asking you to go. If you prefer we coordinate pickups and a moving van, we can do that. But I won't share a roof with someone who sees me as an obstacle course." The room breathed again. Someone coughed. Dan said, "Y'all want a trash bag for those plates?" The absurdity cut the tension enough to keep fists down and words straight. Jill pointed at the TV. "Turn it off." I tapped the phone. The TV went black. I put the phone flat in my pocket. "This was supposed to be my night," she hissed. "You made it about us," I said. I corrected the record. I turned to the guests. "Apologies for the theater. There's cake. There's coffee. Enjoy. I'm going to get some air." Meredith stepped aside to clear my path. I patted Dan on the shoulder as I passed. On the porch, the night smelled like cut grass and charcoal. My hands were steady. Jill followed me, heels loud on the wood. "You're going to fix this," she demanded. "You're going back in and telling them it was a joke. You're going to say you're stressed, you're sorry, you made it up." "No. If you do, I'll leave you the house." "That's generous," I said dry. "No. You're throwing away years." "I'm throwing away a game," I corrected. "The years are already spent." She stepped closer, face set. "You think anyone will date a man who humiliates his wife in public?" "I won't be in that market for a while," I said. "But thanks for the career advice." "You're cruel," she tried. "No," I answered. I'm done. There's a difference. Say it was a prank, she pushed. Now, I looked at the window. Inside, Meredith was pouring coffee for whoever still had the appetite. You can keep the gifts, I said. Return what you feel like returning. Clean up. Pack. If you need boxes, there are some in the garage. The door code will change tomorrow. The account cards are already separated. Your phone plan transfers tonight. If you need anything essential, text me. Otherwise, good night. She stared like she'd never heard the word no spoken in that tone. For a second, I saw a sliver of the woman I married. Smart, capable, funny when she wasn't trying to be sharper than the people around her. Then she set her jaw. You'll regret this, she announced. I doubt it, I said. But if I do, that'll be mine to carry. I walked to the sidewalk and kept going. I heard her voice behind me once, my name. A curse layered off camera, but I didn't turn. I went around the block and let the quiet put distance between who I had been and who I was acting like now. It felt like a fit. When I came back an hour later, the driveway was empty. The kitchen lights were off. Inside, the living room looked like a table after a bad meeting. Plates with half a cake slice, napkins wadded, a fork on the floor. On the island, an envelope had the word bills written on it. I smiled at the neatness of habit and tossed it onto the stack in my office. She hadn't cleaned. I wasn't surprised. The guest room door was open. The closet was open. A strip of light showed me the hanger marks where her dresses had been. I didn't walk down the hall to see which shoes were gone. I locked the front door, turned off the porch light, and stood in the kitchen for one slow breath. Then I took out 3 contractor bags, filled them with trash, and set them by the garage door. I wiped the counters, loaded the dishwasher, and put 2 slices of cake into a container because I earned them. In bed, I slept like a man who'd finally made one decision all the way. The next morning, I changed the code on the garage keypad and the Wi-Fi password. I stopped by a document office on my way to work to drop off the packet and the video on a drive, labeled with the date and time. The woman at the desk took it without questions. Good people understand momentum when they see it. At work, Louis swung by my desk. You free for lunch? He asked. I am. You're in a mood, he observed. I'm in a lane, I corrected. We ate at a place with a counter and bad coffee. He talked about the client. I listened, answered cleanly, finished my burger, and didn't check my phone. That might sound like nothing. It wasn't. 2 days later, a mover called to coordinate a pickup for Jill, scheduled by her friend. I told him what times I'd be out so the door would be clear. He asked, any special instructions? I said, please label the boxes. He laughed like I'd told a joke. I didn't. Labeled boxes keep people honest. Meredith texted me that week. You good? I replied, stable. She sent a thumbs up and a picture of a dog wearing a hat. I appreciated both. The video wasn't a weapon, it was a mirror. In the weeks that followed, it did what mirrors do. It showed what was there. The paperwork turned crisp instead of muddy. Conversations that might have slid into gray stayed in black and white. When asked why I'd moved when I did, I didn't explain feelings. I produced facts. The facts sat there and did the heavy lifting I was done doing by hand. Jill tried one more soft pass. 2 weeks after she left, she texted at 10 p.m. I miss our Sunday breakfasts. Can we talk? I stared at the screen until the dots stopped blinking. I don't do postscripts, I wrote back. Be well. Her reply came fast. Cold. I set the phone face down and went to bed. Boundaries feel like cold to people who thrive in humidity. That's fine. I like dry air. The house got quieter in the right ways. The hum of the fridge. The tick of the hallway clock. Saturday became my day again. A hardware store run, a long drive with no destination, burgers on the back steps. Dan came by with a 6-pack of root beer and a busted weed trimmer. We fixed it in 20 minutes and spent an hour talking about nothing. I found out Amber had a kid who liked to take apart radios. I gave her the old one from the garage. The month closed with a signature. Not a handshake, not a fight. Paper, pen, done. No one had to raise a voice or drag a chair across a floor to make a point. The point had been made the night of the party, and the paper only acknowledged it. What did she get? Not the house. Not the savings. Not the car. We split what made sense to split. She moved to a rental across town for a while, then out of town altogether. I heard that from Meredith, who delivered it like weather. She's gone. There wasn't anger in Meredith's voice. There was relief with edges. My life after that didn't become a movie. It became clean. I kept the kayak on its rack. Ready any morning, I felt like driving west. I switched my hours at work to an early start because I like empty floors and cold coffee that tastes like productivity. I stopped looking at my phone when I set it down. I sat on my porch with a neighbor who teaches auto shop and learned more about carburetors than I'll ever need. People ask if I'm dating. I'm not. Not because I'm broken, not because I'm bitter, but because I like this new quiet. I'm taking care of my yard like it pays me. I'm fixing what's fixable and replacing what isn't. I bought a used motorcycle and spend Saturday mornings tightening bolts. I go for breakfast with Dan and sometimes with Amber and her kid when they're around. When the kid asks me questions, I answer them. It's a simple town. The main street is short. If you wave at people, they wave back. Jill? She's a footnote. If I think of her at all, it's like remembering an address I moved out of. The video helped. Not because it won an argument. Because it showed me I wasn't crazy to trust my gut. I listened to my own voice saying, enough, and then I acted like I meant it. The last night I saw her was on that porch, heels sharp, eyes sharper, telling me I'd regret finding my backbone under a room full of witnesses. I remember telling her to clean up, pack, and go. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. That was the point. I didn't need anyone to clap. I didn't need anyone to tell me I'd done the right thing. I did the right thing because it was right for me. That's the part one want to underline for any man who asks. You don't win by yelling. You win by walking. You don't win by proving you deserve kindness. You win by deciding you won't live without respect, then structuring your life so you're not on sale. So here it is, simple and square. She distanced. I stopped filling the space. She made a plan. I made a better one. When she poked, I set policy. When she sweetened, I tasted and declined. When she tried to make the room her stage, I put a mirror on the wall and let the room look. Then I left the stage and kept walking until the only sound I heard was my own footsteps on my own porch. The house is cleaner now. The calendar is mine. The keys feel honest in my pocket. And if I'm smiling more, it's because being alone in a place with integrity beats being crowded in a plan designed by someone else. One day, maybe, I'll meet a woman who likes a straight line more than a maze. If I do, she'll see this version of me. Not the one who checked the fridge to see what he could make to buy his way back into a mood. Until then, I've got friends, tools, a decent truck, and a porch that faces west. At sunset, the street quiets, the dog next door sits like a statue, and I can hear the hum of my own house doing what it was built to do. Hold, not trap. I used to think love was effort. Now I think respect is the floor. If you don't have that, every room is a stage and every party is a test. I don't take tests in my own house anymore. I threw away the old calendar. The new one has blocked time for what feeds me. If someone wants in, there's a line, a date, a doorbell. If they don't, the porch still faces west. The sun still goes down. The silence is earned. And I sleep, not because I'm tired, but because I'm steady.